Aloha, I'm Michál and thanks for joining me today on the spring equinox. It is an amazing magical entrance day, which is why I took a moment here out in Lahaina to make this video to share with you all a few things that have been in my field in this last little while as we enter into this new earth timeline. For those of you who study astrology, and you are probably following these transits, and there's some big ones happening. I'm no astrologer, so do check out the experts on those things. But in alignment with that, basically is a lot of available new light energy. I myself have been feeling this wobble in the last maybe week. I don't know if any of you out there have been experiencing this wobble sensation and feeling a wave. It kind of feels like it's starting to click in right now in this last 24-hour period. But this wobble is kind of like, I was perceiving it as this quantum leap we are making between timelines. For those of you who understand the Mandela Effect and the quantum physics involved in that, I don't explain it real well, but it's as if we're like little bands and threads that are really close together and we're moving into this other dimensional framework is how I understand it to a degree. So at this time, what that means in more of the terms I work with on a daily basis, it means availability to purge and decide what are we not taking with us as we are really solidifying and moving into our higher timeline, your greater good. So today, this week, as these shifts are happening and there will be continual movement in the months to come, that we are really being clear about what we're not taking with us, that program, that behavior, that mode of operandi is no longer something that moves forward with me as I move into this new earth timeline, into my own higher timeline. So making really clear choices and commitments to your higher timeline, that I am choosing the higher path. I am choosing to commit to love, light, grace. I choose kindness, I choose compassion, I choose unity. So we must release things like hierarchical thinking, behaviors that don't serve, in order for us to fully embrace a more unified field. So some of the things that have come up for me in this last little bit that may be helpful reflections are things like grieving. I have gone through a lot of grief myself, losing a dear sacred spirit animal that I had the honor of being with for just about a year and a half, but it was really profound, and I grieved heavily and felt death and pain in a way that I feel like really reflected to me the overall sense of grief that's happening, and the grief of loved ones, and the grief and pain that people are feeling in this really intense time. Some of us are really embracing the new earth energies and really excited about that. Others are really in resistance and are going through intense moments. And so a lot of compassion is really necessary for all of us to resonate in, to support one another in whatever energy we are experiencing at this time. None of us are in the same place, and that's okay. We're all experiencing the river of life where we need to be within it. So coming into a lot of acceptance and allowance and compassion, the grieving of the death felt also in myself. I know this framework to not be quote unquote real, yet the death feels so real, right? It feels so real. So I guess to reflect that reminder that it feels so real sometimes, what we're emotionally feeling, but to remember the wisdom, your knowingness, to go back to zero, to go back to your center point, to go back to your foundational wisdom, understanding and giving yourself something to jump from that gives you a wider perspective to help process whatever's happening in your exact moment. We often take a really focalized viewpoint, and this is why it's hard for us to move out of it, because we're so focused on what the pain or what's right in front of us. But if we can widen that view, step back and see a greater perspective, remember the greater truths, it helps us to move through the pain. It doesn't mean we don't have the pain. It doesn't mean we don't experience the emotions, but it gives us a greater capacity to move through it, to breathe, to use our tools, and to breathe the energy through us, feeling it completely, feel it and let it go, right? So it allows us to do that process. So draw on the tools in these times. There's a lot of energy moving around, and it's really important to be clear. So that grieving part for death and loved ones is one piece, and then a grieving also for those loved ones that maybe there's been separation in this deep, difficult time we've been in. There's been a lot of family separations due to the health situations and all that going on, and gosh, saddening. It's sad. And so a grief for those that have lost family members, for the relationships with our own family members and friends, people we love that maybe are no longer with us in physical alignment because of choices that we are all choosing to make. And so to grieve those places too, and grieve that death or that transmutation, that transition, that we transmuted into more love. Like I still choose love. I choose love for all beings, and if they're in my face right now, I would give them a hug, right? So seeing all things transmuted to love, seeing anyone that you've had conflict with, transmuting it to love, forgiving them, grieving it. It's sad sometimes. Loss is sad, but there's the death comes the rebirth. So all that is dying away right now, to honor it, to have ritual with it, to sing about it, to pray about it, to write about it, to do art about it, to work in the land, to plant food. I planted a beautiful kukui sapling, kukui nut tree, where my cocoa bunny is, and we had a beautiful ceremony, and that kukui nut tree just came through spirit through my sister Malia, and thank you. And so, we're just listening along the way and helping one another. So that kind of brings me into the flow as we move into this new earth timeline, and we grieve and we process and we allow and we let go and decide, this is what I'm going forward with, this is what I'm not taking with me, and this is now what I want to create. So in that energy, we have to really step into the flow. One of the things that I see really difficult for everyone, all of us, right, is letting go of what we think we know. We think we know a lot. We've been told a lot, we've studied a lot, we've read a lot, we've watched a lot of things, etc. So I just put it out there to everyone to let go of what you think you know. Empty the bowl, so to speak, and let your bowl just be empty. To go, well, maybe it's all those things, and maybe it's not. Maybe it could be something different. We're not really sure. If we're not attached to it, then something else can actually come in. We can actually see it from a different angle, a different perspective. And then when you've done that, it's kind of like a food process. People have done this with foods. If you've had allergies, right? You kind of take everything out, and then you put back certain things and see what they do. How does it interact with my system, right? So maybe some of those things are really valuable and true, but they will withstand you letting them go for a little bit, if they really are. And then you can integrate it back in as you see what happens when you allow and just be an open vessel to spirit. So this means first we have to be willing to connect to the heart of God. In this newer timeline, we are guided by the heart of God. You're connected at all times to source energy, and we want to allow this thing, as I've talked about a lot, to be a processor, to kind of do the job as it's guided by source. So it's really freeing actually, because we don't have to think. We can just go, is it in the highest good? Okay, yeah, it is. Feels like it's in the highest good. I'm getting a yes on that. Now, how do I do that? Well, let's ask your processor, your brain. You have a lot of things in there. We have resources, friends, reflections. There's lots of ways you begin to manifest something, right? When it's in your highest good. But first listening, is it in my highest good? If the answer is no, then, well, that's it. You're done. Also with helping folks, right? We can't help everyone. We're not all in the vibration to do it all. We get to help each other. So sometimes I can help someone, and sometimes the best help I can do is just pray for that person, or be a reflection of kindness, or say something nice. Other times, maybe I can do more. And if I'm listening to guidance, I'm shown clearly, oh yeah, I'm that person, I can help them. Or they can help me, right? Or we can help each other. Or we have something for one another. So when we start to listen into this energy, we become in the flow of God's infinite grace, the infinite flow of source energy flowing. And this is how a lot of it works. A friend of mine was telling me how he's like, oh gosh, I brought him a bag of lemons, and he's like, oh, perfect. I was just asking for lemons. I said, well, here you go. Here's your delivery. Because I was told to bring him lemons just from source. Like, oh, I have these lemons. Like, oh, I'm supposed to give them to this person, to my friend. So when we're listening, we kind of allow, and we have exactly what one another needs, and we can share and create, because we have an infinite resource of abundance, really, in community, in connection, in manifesting, because you're creating your energetic vibrational reality in your own personal movie at all times. So as we move into this newer timeline right now, we're being aware of what we're purging, grieving anything that's no longer serving, choosing what you want to embrace and embody, and then using your tools to manage your energy daily. It's like brushing your teeth. These tools are really like brushing the teeth. They're like driving your car. They're just integrated into your daily life. It's about managing our field, right? This quantum, multi-dimensional being that you are. You don't just have one body, you have multiple bodies. You are multi-dimensional, and we're all beginning to realize that as a greater masses. People are starting to understand that you're more than this. So this is just about managing that amazing field that you are, because we are in a field of, our biggest problem is, right, we have all these divine co-creators who don't know that's what they are. So today, I just want to really encourage you to use these tools, release what doesn't serve, really put some time into what you want to manifest. What does it look like? Where am I going? What am I creating? Where am I putting my energy? This is your living temple. You are the temple of the living God. So this thing, body, mind, spirit, we want to make this an environment for the living God to inhabit, for light source energy, love to live here. So we want to make our vessel healthy so that it can process light. We want to stock our mind so that we can dismantle programming, and we want to do the energetic work to manage our field and do any inner child work and release anything that's not serving in our inside zone. Some shadow work, any of those kind of things, ancestral work. These are trauma release. These are all processes that are critical to kind of wash out, sweep the cobwebs, and move into greater freedom. And they can be done in all sorts of ways. Everyone has access. So it's if you need help, you can reach out, but we all have the empowerment to access these things through divine source energy. Everyone is connected to the God of their heart if you so choose to be, right? So in that being said, yes, use your tools, activate cut cords, clear agreements, contracts, promises, oaths, on a daily basis, even throughout your day, if you move through a lot of spaces, everything's trying to think of it as everything's trying to plug in. Everything's like, hey, could you have a cord? Can I plug my phone in? Everything's trying to do that. So you just want to clear your field after you've been on the phone, after you've been on the computer, after you've left a meeting, after you've been in a classroom, after you've been at work. All the places you go, think of it like your telephone, your smartphone. You're just closing the windows, right? Just close the fields. That's done. Susie Q has what she needs. I have what I need. I wrote it down. Boom. Closed. You treat all that like a swipe. Making noises, your breath. You are a divine co-creator. It helps. You have power in your breath, right? So breathe and release it. Okay, so trusting yourself, direct connection to source energy, using our tools, managing our energy in this amazing time as more available light comes into our field in this next beginning of April. So right now, we use this as a time to really make this shift, to really choose and where you are going, what you are focusing your energy on, clean some stuff out, really make some choices and manifest with your heart, body, mind, spirit connected to source. May we move into a time of cooperation versus competition, a time of unity together. And April brings in a lot of new amazing energy of love and joy for us to access and expand and upgrade into more of our divine self. So yes, there are more tools on my channel. I encourage you to use them. The daily energy scan does have all of this embodied within it. And with all the tools, it's really just utilize the templates, get the framework in your beingness, own it, make it your own, and then you can do it anywhere and anytime. And things become shorter and shorter as you activate these tools. They can become faster and faster, where maybe you just use one keyword and you've done the whole tool. If any of you remember, like, form of tiger, Wonder Twins, activate. That's really that concept. That's kind of an old reference for those of you who are my age. Anyway, form of Wonder Twins, activate your superpowers out there today. Believe in yourselves, trust your connection to divine source. Choose. So together, we can just choose together here and now. I am love. I am sovereign. I am free. I have full authority over my vessel. Nothing has power over me. Choosing that freedom and breathing into your own sovereignty in love, light, and grace. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me here today. Thank you to all of you expanding, creating. Together we rise. We are all here together. 2023, we didn't come here for vacation. This is mission. If we were going to vacation, we would have gone somewhere else. So, we got this. Hawan tan mara inde fara. If not us, then who? Thank you for being here. Thank you for your loving heart, your dedication, your perseverance, and your commitment to unity. Mahalo.